In this video, this is our virtual consult for our photo booth package and service. So I'm going to hop over to the website. We'll go ahead and get started here. We are on our photo booth service page. I like to start with the navigation. So basically, hover over weddings, go to photo booth, and this is where you wind up, okay? We're going to scroll down. I'm going to go over the package in just a second. There's three things I like to point out about our photo booth that there are different photo booths out there. And just so you can know a little bit about ours. First, as far as space goes, ours does give us the ability to change the size. We use a pipe and drape setup rather than some photo booth systems are in a fixed machine enclosure that cannot adjust its size to let more people in, or if happens to be at a venue with a tighter space, it can't be smaller. We can adjust the size of ours. The photo booths that we use inside, the camera is an actual DSLR camera with an actual zoom lens. So we can actually widen the lens out if we have a group of more people that get inside the booth. And again, with our space, ours allows for more than two people to get in. I think if I scroll to the top here, you see easily we've got 6 people in that shot. People like to ask me how many people can get in your booth. I usually like to just say, because I like to safety is a priority to me. 5 or 6, not a problem, as you can see in that photo. Have we had brides get carried away with getting all 10 of her bridesmaids in there with her? Yes. Did they all get in the photo? Yes. Is that how I'm promoting the photo booth? Not necessarily. But I bring that up because between the space that we have in the lens, there are other companies out there with a photo booth where rather than having a DSLR camera with a lens, it just has more of a webcam. And I've seen ones that literally, it's a fixed lens. Nothing can change. It can't zoom in, zoom out. And there's not much space. I've seen photo booths that only allow 2 people to get inside. And I've seen other machines that, because of the way that it uses this webcam, it can only get 2 heads in the photo, so you could never have a photo of more than 2 people. Not the case with ours. And ours does not have a step. There's some companies who have a photo booth where you actually have to step up into it, which doesn't work for people, obviously, in wheelchairs and handicapped and things like that. So with ours, if someone's in a wheelchair, if there's a guest, not a problem. They can wheel right in to the booth environment. Okay, moving along. So let's get to the package here. So our standard photo booth is 4.5 hours of what we call go time and a half hour of downtime. So it will be there set up for 5 hours. So let's use the example, an average reception is 5 to 10. That's a number that I always like to work with just because it's a standard and very common. So let's say you have a 5 to 10 reception. This will be there from 5 to 10, but it's just going to shut down for a half an hour when dinner begins. So a service time of 4.5 hours out of the 5 hours that it's there. It's going to shut down for a half an hour during dinner for 2 reasons. With all of our services, we do ask and require in contract that our vendors get a meal. That's discussed further in the contract. Does not necessarily have to be what the guests are eating, can be a vendor meal. But it's going to shut down when dinner begins for 30 minutes so that the booth operator has an opportunity to eat, but also because we have to give them some opportunity where they can walk away from the photo booth and use a restroom at some point in the evening. That was a mistake. We didn't initially do that. We just ran the machine for 5 hours, and we quickly realized that the photo booth operator never actually had an opportunity to go use the restroom. So that's why we shut it down for half an hour at dinner when dinner begins, because no one's really using it at that point anyways. Of course, there obviously is a booth attendant, as I just mentioned. They're the ones who are responsible for bringing the photo booth, setting it up, running it, making sure the guests have a good experience, tearing it down at the end of the night, and bringing it back here. Your photo strips will print out as 2-inch by 6-inch strips. We mentioned that when photo booths first came out, it's not as popular today as it was initially. Some people still do it. You can actually, as guest favors, you can get little bookmarker inserts where you can take the photo strip and put it in a plastic sleeve so it can act as like a bookmark for people who read, or they have these little acrylic stands so you can stick it in a stand. Different strips print out different sizes, so if you do that, you need your photo booth company to tell you what size the strip is so that you're buying the right size thing. So that's why we let you know it's a 2-inch by 6-inch strip. We'll have a footer at the bottom with the event name and date, and we'll get to this example here in a second. unlimited prints. So I'm going to pause and go over unlimited prints. Unlimited prints, I'm going to go over what it means and what it doesn't mean. What it does not mean is that someone can say, hey, can we have 40 copies of this photo? That is not what unlimited prints means. Basically, unlimited prints means that we're not concerned with how many guests you have at your wedding. Whether you have 50 guests, 100 guests, or 300 guests, we're not going to charge you any different if you have a bunch of guests. So unlimited prints means however many people that evening come through the photo booth, that doesn't concern us. We're not charging you more or anything like that. If there is a steady flow from the time it starts to the time it ends, that's completely fine. We don't get to a point where we're like, we've done 200 strips, it's done. It's going to run from 5 to 10 with that 30 minutes of shutdown. Basically, we have it, the pricing's structured as such that we know that if at 5 o'clock people start lining up and using the photo booth and it never stops except for that 30 minutes that shuts down and runs at a nonstop pace, we know how many times the printer will run, how much ink and paper will get used. So we're basically set up that way. So basically, guests come in, they take their photo, they come out, the next group goes in, the next group goes in. Now, people will ask, well, what if a group goes in and they get photos and they want to take more photos? That gets into our policies, but basically what we say with that policy, we want everybody to use a photo booth. So if a group comes in, takes their photos, if they want to go again, it basically comes down to, is there a line or not? If there's no one else waiting, they can keep going and going and going and have all the fun they want in the world. But if there's people waiting in line, we want everybody to get an opportunity. So we would tell the group, you guys can take more photos, but you have to come out. You can come back later or you can hop right back in line, but we want everybody that's in line to be able to get in here. So we won't let one group just hog the booth all night, and we want to make sure everybody has an experience with it. Our photo booth service does include a scrapbooking service, so we do bring a scrapbook and all of the necessary items for that. You don't have to provide anything. What that does is when the guests go into the booth and take a picture, it prints out 2 strips. One goes to the people that just went in, and one goes to your scrapbook. So we will have your guests place the strip in your scrapbook, and they'll write a little message next to it. So at the end of the night, you have something physical. If you do obviously you're doing photography and video, you're not going to see that for several weeks, but at least you have something physical with a photo booth service at the end of the night, which is really nice. We do bring assorted props, hats, wigs, boas, masks. Actually, I shouldn't say boas. A lot of venues actually frown upon boas, so we kind of stopped doing boas just because they disintegrate all night long, and at the end of the night it looks like birds just exploded. There's just feathers everywhere. So hats, wigs, masks, sunglasses, funny things like that. We have a lot of couples who say, we have some props. Can we include some of our own props as well? Absolutely. We don't necessarily do specific themes. That's why we say assorted props. We have some couples that are having a themed type of event. If they want themed props, they will have to work with us to provide themed props. Password protected gallery. All of the photos from the event that get taken at the photo booth will go into a password protected gallery, which is kind of neat because I'll jump to the strip now. So you'll see when guests go in, they'll take a series of 3 photos. Photo 1, photo 2, photo 3. And at the bottom down here, we're going to have the bride and groom's names, or if it's some other type of event, if it's not a wedding, then we'll have the name of the event. But speaking in terms of a wedding, we'll have the bride and groom's names, the date of the event, and then we have a URL on here. The URL, where the URL takes them, it takes them to this page. So they plug in the URL, they land up on this page, and then there's a graphic right here. Click here to view photos from my event. So your guests would click that, and then it's going to bring them to the gallery where all of the photo booth galleries are, and they can go and find the event that they attended. And then it's password protected, but your guests will know the password because the password is actually on the strip. So we determine the password before your event, so the guests that were at your event, they have the strip, they can look at it, they know how they follow the URL, they find your gallery, they enter the password, they can go in and see all the photos from the event. What's neat about that for your guests, one, it's just an opportunity they can go in and see all the fun, silly photos that everybody took that evening. But a lot of times we'll have couples or even just sometimes if there's families, like a mom, dad, and a little kid gets in the photo booth and they take a picture, sometimes they actually want to have a nice just 4x6 of one of those pictures. They can actually go in the gallery, and if they want to buy a cheap 4x6 print, they can just go ahead and order themselves a print. They don't have to bug you. So that's just a nice little side bonus for the guests. You will also get all the digital files. We'll send you all the digital files. So in addition to having all the physical prints in your scrapbook, we will get you all the digital files as well. And what's neat about that, you get it in both ways. So you would get a digital file like this, which is the strip version, which is kind of neat. But then you'll have an individual digital file of every individual photo that was taken as well, which is kind of neat. As I mentioned, the privacy pipe and japing. We do set up. We can do the what's called open air. We can do open air, but most couples prefer the way that we do by default, where we set up like a privacy enclosure. It allows the guests, like that group, to go in there and just be silly and have fun on their own, and because everybody can't see what they're doing. Sometimes with the complete open space, some people are maybe just like a little bit more shy, but when they have a private environment like what we set up, you just get some more silliness and things like that. So, in a nutshell, that is our photo booth package. And if you have any questions or you're ready to book, give us a call, shoot us an email. But that is the virtual consult for our photo booth service.